arranging this. It's very kind of you to
Oh,
yeah, to help promote Waikato over in South Africa, and obviously we want to try and build our market there. So yeah, great that you're there, and great that you're able to.
absolutely. So thank you so much for your time. So just sort of the aim of today, I think you could have gauged from the email, is just really to look at promoting the university and the institutions that we represent. But also, you know, in South Africa, with our limitations and not being able to see all of our students at schools at the moment, you know, normally we visit most of the schools right through South Africa, and this would be a great opportunity to get it out there. Everybody's using a digital format at the moment. So yeah, and I know the University of Waikato has got so many offerings, and it is, you know, a top class institution. And just to, yeah, your unique perspective, obviously you're in the UK, but you're the
Yes,
regional
that's right.
manager for Africa, Middle East, and Europe. So I think you've got a
Yes,
wonderful
yes.
perspective to give to us today.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, traditionally, universities in New Zealand don't spend a lot of time, particularly in the African market. I think it's a difficult market to crack for New Zealand, and you know, a lot of students from that part of the world tend to go either to Europe, the UK, and then Canada and the US and so on. And some go to Australia, but not so many to New Zealand. So you know, we, as I say, we do want to increase the number of students from that area of the world in terms of the number we've got studying with us. And I think South Africa is a great place to start, because there is quite a large South African community in New Zealand, particularly in the North Island, where our campuses are located. So yeah, it's a great opportunity, I think, and hopefully yeah, we can start to see some interest in New Zealand building.
Wonderful. You know, there's always interest in New Zealand. As South Africans, it's a place that we always want to go to for a holiday. So it's on everybody's bucket list, and it's the most beautiful destination. And we love the All Blacks. And
Yes.
so yeah, it's just, I'm so happy to connect with you and for this opportunity. So yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, I can talk a little bit then about the university and about what we offer, what we do, and I think you identified a couple of programs that might be of interest in terms of South African students. Maybe I can talk about them in a bit of detail as well.
Definitely, that'll be wonderful. Thank you. Yep. So you're welcome to fire away, and yeah, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Well, what I'll do is I'll share my screen, and then you'll be able to see my presentation. Just a bit of information about. See, I don't know if you can see that there.
Yep, it's all good on my side.
Fantastic. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I can, as I say, I can give you a bit of an introduction about Waikato, about New Zealand, why students might want to choose New Zealand as a study destination. And then, yeah, as we were saying, I think we've picked out a couple of programs that South African students in particularly might be interested in.
Perfect.
So, if I move to the first slide, I can firstly introduce New Zealand and where we are in New Zealand in terms of the university. So as you say, South Africa is a really popular destination for, sorry, New Zealand is a popular destination, I should say, for South African students. And we have seen in the past a number of students from South Africa studying with us. There seems to be quite a big expat community, particularly around Tauranga, which is where our secondary campus is located on the North Island of New Zealand. So I think quite a few people have family in that part of the country. But you can see the world map. The easiest way to get from South Africa to New Zealand actually is to fly via Perth. There are some direct flights to Perth in Australia, and then on from there to Auckland. We're located in the North Island of New Zealand, so you can see the big flag there showing Hamilton. Hamilton is our main campus. It's about 90 minutes or so from Auckland, which is the biggest city in New Zealand. And then our secondary campus, you can see just over to the east, is in Tauranga. So the North Island of New Zealand is where most people live. The population in total is only about 4.5 million people, so it's quite a small population. About a third of those live in Auckland, and then Hamilton is the fourth largest city, but it's not a big city by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite a small place. About 155,000 people live in Hamilton. It's a very friendly place. It's a really beautiful place to live. And then Tauranga is the fifth biggest city, and that's about 130,000, and that's on the coast. And I'll show you some pictures as we go along. So this is Hamilton City itself. And you can see the Waikato River going through the main part of the city there. The bridge that goes across the river, that's the bridge you take to go to our main campus, just on the outskirts of Hamilton. So, as I say, it's a really well-placed city, close to Auckland, close to a lot of attractions around the North Island of New Zealand, which I'll show you in a minute. Lots of students live in Hamilton, so it's a very safe and friendly student city. And it's about a 15-minute bus ride across that bridge over to our campus. So you can see in the next slide, this is the Hamilton campus. It's actually the largest campus by area in New Zealand. So it's very green, lots of nice places to sit, enjoy your lunch, enjoy the nice sunny afternoons in the summertime. You can see the green fields and green spaces. And our Hamilton campus has about 10,000 students or so. So it's a medium-sized university in terms of the number of students we have. And we offer a wide variety of programs, which I'll talk about in a second. And then just to come on to why you might want to choose New Zealand as a study destination. So I'll show you a few points here. You've got the four different points really that really attract students to New Zealand. So I think that one of the most important ones there is safety. New Zealand is actually the second most peaceful country in the world according to the 2020 Global Peace Index. So it's a really beautiful country, a really peaceful country. The crime rates are very low, and we really don't have too much of a problem when it comes to safety. In terms of quality, all New Zealand universities are ranked within the top 500 in the world. So that's in the most recent 2021 QS rankings. So very, very good quality study destination. A lot of work opportunities after graduation, which I'll come to a bit later. And, you know, New Zealand's very well known for an easygoing, relaxed lifestyle. It's a great place to live in terms of the natural beauty as well. You know, if people enjoy the outdoors, getting out with sports and outdoor activities, then it really is a great place to live. And then coming on to the University of Waikato itself. So you can see our rankings here. So we're ranked 375 in the most recent 2021 QS rankings, and our management school is actually Triple Crown accredited. So that means that we're accredited by AACSB, EQUIS and AMBA, and these are the three most important business bodies worldwide. With that Triple Crown accreditation, it means we are placed within the top 1% of business schools. Our management school is one of the top worldwide. There are only about 100 universities that have that Triple Crown accreditation. I've talked a bit about our location already. So our main campus in Hamilton, close to Auckland, and as I say, close to lots of different parts of the North Island, interesting places to see. And Tauranga is actually the fastest growing city in New Zealand. So there are a lot of opportunities for jobs after graduation there. And then one of the main attractions to New Zealand as well is the cost. So study in New Zealand is quite a lot cheaper than many other countries worldwide. And then living costs in both Hamilton and Tauranga are cheaper than other cities, bigger cities like Auckland, Sydney, Melbourne, and so on. So students are attracted by the cost of living. Just a few things to show you before I move on, just a few things outside of our campus and outside of students' studies. We always make it really clear that when students come to New Zealand from overseas, they're not just coming for studies, they're coming for an international experience as well, to experience a different country and a different culture. And so you can see some of the really beautiful places around New Zealand in the next few slides, and we really encourage students to get out and experience New Zealand for its beauty and culture and everything there is to see. So you've got Bridalveil Falls here. This is just a typical natural beauty spot close to Hamilton, about half an hour away. Great place to go for lunch, take friends, take a picnic, enjoy the beautiful scenery. And of course, you can walk around the waterfall. There are beautiful hiking trails all around. New Zealand's also famous for the Lord of the Rings. So if you're a fan of The Hobbit or the Lord of the Rings trilogy, then you might have heard of Hobbiton. And so all of the movies were actually filmed in New Zealand, in the North Island and South Island. So Hobbiton, the Hobbiton movie set is left over from those movies. So you can go, you can visit the movie set, you can have a tour around, see a lot of the locations from the movies. The beach is always close by in New Zealand. This is Raglan Beach. If you're into surfing, it's got one of the most famous left-hand surf breaks in the world. So a great place to try out surfing, even if you've never tried it before. As I say, Tauranga, our secondary campus, that's right on the coast. So beautiful beaches all around there. This is Rotorua. This is very close to Tauranga, about an hour from Hamilton. And this is a place that has a lot of geothermal activity. So you can see the hot springs, the steam coming up from the ground, and you can go and bathe in the hot springs, enjoy the water and the healing properties and so on. So another great place to visit. We have ski fields as well. So if you're into skiing and snowboarding, then that's about 3 hours or so south of Hamilton and Tauranga, in the middle of the North Island. So a great place in the winter to go skiing and snowboarding. And then, of course, no trip to New Zealand would be complete without a visit to the South Island. South Island is a lot less densely populated than the North Island, so the population is quite small, but the natural beauty is stunning. And you can just see from this one picture here, really beautiful places to go hiking, go exploring. Queenstown is the adventure, adrenaline hot spot of New Zealand. So if you're into bungee jumping and all of those kind of adventure sports, then that's a great place to go. So then just coming back to our campus and our study offerings. So I've talked about our Hamilton campus already, and this is our new campus that was built just last year. It opened at the beginning of 2019. This is a city centre campus. It offers a smaller range of programs and obviously is a lot smaller than our Hamilton campus, but again a very friendly place to study, state-of-the-art facilities, and yeah, certainly would suit a lot of students. And as I say, the South African community is quite strong in Tauranga, so definitely a consideration there. So you've got a number of programs, as I say, with excellent facilities and excellent research quality as well. And because Tauranga is the fastest growing city in New Zealand, it actually has New Zealand's largest port for exports. So a lot of job opportunities there for students when they graduate. And then we also offer something called the Tauranga Bursary. So this is a special bursary available to international students who start their studies face-to-face in Tauranga. And it's actually a 10,000 New Zealand dollar tuition fee bursary. So all students who come to study with us in Tauranga will be eligible for that bursary, so to reduce the tuition fees a little bit. You can see just a picture. This is our facilities here, so you can see one of the lecture halls in Tauranga. Now, obviously, COVID-19, we know, is an issue, something we can't avoid, something we have to talk about. I don't know how the situation is at the moment over there in South Africa. In the UK, it's not great. In New Zealand, things are looking very good, though. You've probably heard New Zealand eliminated coronavirus quite quickly after it was introduced. And the number of cases have been 0 or very, very low since March of this year. But the reason for that is that New Zealand's borders are completely closed at the moment to non-residents. So it's not possible at the moment to start your studies as an international student in New Zealand. The situation is changing all the time. We hope at some point next year that the borders will reopen. We're hoping for maybe the middle of next year, but things can change very quickly. So we have 3 intakes per year at Waikato, and they are March, July and November. So our next intake in November and our following intake in March will both be online for new international students. Visas at the moment aren't being processed. If you were to try to apply to study in New Zealand now and apply for a visa, nothing would happen with that application yet. So what we're planning is that students can start their studies online, but as soon as the borders reopen and they're able to get a visa to come to New Zealand, then we can help with that process, and then they can continue their studies face to face. So all students who start their studies online will be eligible for a 20% fee reduction on their online papers. So the portion of study online, the cost will be reduced by 20%. And then when they come to New Zealand, they will be eligible for a 2,000 New Zealand dollar travel grant. So that will help them with their travel expenses and maybe living costs when they arrive in New Zealand. We're accepting provisional grades and calculated grades for students who weren't able to get their final certificates. And we're also accepting a number of online English tests, so things like Duolingo, IELTS indicator and so on. Most South African students that won't really apply to though. We don't normally require English proficiency evidence from South Africa. We've set up online studies so that students can easily access all of the lectures that are recorded, and also seminars and workshops and so on are organised as much as possible to suit different time zones, and then students have full online support from our staff over in Hamilton and Tauranga. So our faculties and schools of study, you can see a list of all of our areas of study, all of our programs on this slide. As we've been saying, we've picked out 2 programs that we think might be of interest to South African students, and they are the Bachelor of Business and the Bachelor of Health, Sport and Human Performance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about those 2 programs now. As I say, we do offer a very wide range of programs, so if we haven't maybe covered different pieces of information or questions that people have on different programs, then we can definitely answer that at a later date. So, starting with the Bachelor of Business. This is a 3-year bachelor's degree, and this one you can start online. So this has 3 intakes every year, so you've got November, March, and July, but for our next 2 intakes, the November intake and the March intake, they will both be online, and as I say, students will hopefully be able to progress to face-to-face study once the borders reopen. And we're hoping very much that the borders will reopen in time for the July 2021 intake. Obviously we will see, but if they do open, then we can take students for face-to-face study in New Zealand, and they can start in July. And obviously November is another option for the intake there. The program's offered both at our Hamilton and our Tauranga campus. So the cost in New Zealand dollars is $29,380 per year. That's about 17,000 US dollars. $1 US is about 2/3 of a New Zealand dollar. Then, as I've been saying, one of our main sort of selling points, one of our really positive attributes is that we have Triple Crown accreditation. And as I've mentioned, one of only 100 universities worldwide to hold that Triple Crown accreditation. So if you were studying the Bachelor of Business, then you would be studying at a Triple Crown accredited management school, which would be great for your CV when you're looking for a job in the future. The program includes a 1 semester workplace internship in the 3rd year. So this is a guaranteed internship. We would place our students in a business, in a company in or around Hamilton or Tauranga, and it would be 1 day per week for that semester. Normally the internship isn't paid, but what you would do is actually you would, while you're working, getting that work experience, you would also be writing a project on the company that you're working for, and that would be assessed as part of your studies. So it's actually one of the papers within the Bachelor of Business. That's an internship paper. If you wanted to take a Bachelor of Management Studies with honours, you could also do that. That's a 4-year degree. In New Zealand, there is an extra year at the end of bachelor's degrees, which is called an honours year. And students who complete that honours year can normally go on and study a shorter master's degree. Most international students prefer to start with a 3-year bachelor's degree and see how things go, because the honours degree isn't really necessary unless you're sure you want to go on to master's level and beyond. And then the entry requirements for South Africa: you'd need to complete your national senior certificate, and you'd need confirmation of eligibility to enrol in a South African university in order to get admission with us. And as I say, you wouldn't normally need to take an English test from South Africa. For our bachelor's degrees, all students who complete a bachelor's degree in New Zealand are eligible for a 3-year post-study work visa. So that means that when you finished your studies, you can stay in New Zealand and you can work for 3 years in any job. And then, of course, if you wanted to stay for longer, then you could apply for a residency visa, and then there's a points-based system, and you'd normally need a job offer or a job in New Zealand in order to qualify for that. Now, you can see there are 9 majors as part of our Bachelor of Business listed at the table at the bottom of the slide. If you chose, for example, the accounting major, then this gives you fast track to qualified chartered accountant status. So you may know that you may have heard of ACCA. So ACCA is probably the most famous sort of qualifying program that you need to take in order to become a chartered accountant. So they're a body that accredit accountants across the world. So normally you need 14 ACCA exams. You need to pass 14 exams in order to become an ACCA chartered accountant, and you can get 9 exemptions from those 14 exams if you take the accounting major in our Bachelor of Business. The second program I wanted to talk about was the Bachelor of Health, Sport and Human Performance. Now, this is quite a new program that we're offering. So it's, again, a 3-year bachelor's degree. However, this one isn't offered online. You can imagine as part of your studies, you would need access to a lot of specialized facilities. And when you're studying online, you wouldn't be able to access those facilities, of course. So this one is only offered onshore in New Zealand. So we're, again, hoping that the borders will reopen in time for onshore study in July 2021. So if you were interested in this program, then I think that would be your sort of aim in terms of your start date. It's offered in March, or the intakes, I should say, are in March and July, so you could choose between one or the other. And the program, again, is offered in both Hamilton and Tauranga. The cost is a bit lower than the Bachelor of Business, about 25,000 New Zealand dollars per year. So probably about 14 or 15,000 US dollars per year. The real positive points about this program, why you might choose it over other degrees and from other universities, are really our partnerships, firstly, and then our facilities, secondly. So we have partnerships with the Waikato Chiefs. So if you follow rugby, if you follow Super Rugby particularly, then you will be quite familiar with the Waikato Chiefs, one of the most famous rugby teams worldwide, competing every year across the New Zealand, Australia, South Africa and South American Super Rugby series. We have a partnership, as I say, with them, and you would have access to a lot of people within that industry. So when you're looking for a job, when you're looking for things to add to your CV, then there'd be a lot of opportunity there. We have another partnership with the Waikato Bay of Plenty Magic. So that's a national netball team in New Zealand. You may know netball is a really popular sport in New Zealand. And again, access to people within that industry, which will help you with networking, with job opportunities, and with your CV. We also have a partnership with Cycling New Zealand, and I'll talk about the velodrome in a second. That's just outside of Hamilton, and then Paralympics New Zealand as well, and plenty of other different partnerships as part of the program and the access you'd have within the university. So then moving on to our facilities. Now I've just mentioned the velodrome. So we have a world-class velodrome called the Advantage Rome, which is just outside of Hamilton in a town called Cambridge. And it's held the World Cycling Championships before. It really is a world-class venue. So, you know, if you're into cycling, then, you know, the University of Waikato is one of the best places in the world to come if you want to pursue your studies in that area. Then we have the University of Waikato Sports Laboratory within the Advantage Rome. So really excellent, again, world-class facilities looking at athlete performance in the sports laboratory there. And then in Tauranga, we have the Adams Centre for High Performance. This again is another world-class facility. It has an environmental chamber for altitude training and you know, really excellent sports facilities. So another fantastic place to learn and to hopefully progress to where you want to be. You can see the majors at the bottom of the page. So we have 3 different majors in this program. The first is community health. I'd say this is probably of slightly less interest to most people. It focuses particularly on Maori health and local health in New Zealand. So this is about how to improve community health, how to work with communities to improve the health and lifestyle and so on. The second and third majors are probably of more interest, we find, to international students. So you've got human performance science, which focuses on the performance of athletes. And then you've got sport development and coaching. So if you were interested in how to get athletes to perform to the very best of their ability and what they need to do in order to do that, then human performance science might be of interest to you. If you're really interested in the coaching side of sport and developing athletes, then the sport development and coaching major may be of interest to you there. And entry requirements are the same, so completion of the National Senior Certificate with confirmation of eligibility to enrol at a South African university. Now, just to touch on scholarships, now I've already mentioned the Tauranga bursary, so if you study face-to-face in Tauranga, then you would be eligible for the 10,000 New Zealand dollar bursary, which would reduce your tuition fees, and that's automatically applied to all international students who start face-to-face in Tauranga. The other scholarship we offer is the International Excellence Scholarship, so this is based on academic merit, and there's an application process to this one. This one is up to 10,000 New Zealand dollars. Normally, you would need good grades, high grades from your high school studies, and you'd need to write a statement as well in order to apply. And then we assess applications and make scholarship offers from there. The scholarship at the bottom of that table is the International High Achievement Scholarship. So this is for current students who are progressing from their first year into their second year. So if you're an international student and you complete your first year of study with B+ average, then you would get an automatic 5,000 New Zealand dollar tuition fee reduction for the second year of study. I've already mentioned COVID-19 fee reductions. So I've talked about the 20% fee reduction and the 2,000 New Zealand dollar travel allowance, travel grant for students then progressing to face-to-face study. Unfortunately, you can't get both. So you could only get the online fee reduction, or if you start face-to-face, you may be eligible for one of the fee reductions on this page. And then finally, just to give you a bit of information about our accommodation options. So we have catered halls and self-catered halls of residence on our campus, all 5 or maximum 10 minutes walk to lectures across the campus. So for catered halls, they're probably better for undergraduate students, people who don't necessarily want to cook their own food, because you have breakfast, lunch and dinner provided every day. All students have a private bedroom. Most students will share a bathroom and then, of course, sharing a living area as well. When it comes to self-catered halls, students will have a kitchen where they can cook their own food. Again, there are some self-catered halls that have ensuite rooms and studio flats, so it is possible to live by yourself. But most of them, you would have a private bedroom, but you'd share a bathroom with 3 other students normally, and then you'd have a living area and kitchen to cook. And you can see the cost here, 322 to 380 New Zealand dollars per week for the catered halls, and then 200 to 265 for the self-catered halls. And then the final option, of course, is homestay or flatting. So you could live in a homestay with a Kiwi family, a New Zealand family, close to the campus, and the cost for that is $266 per week. Again, you'd have a private bedroom. All meals would be provided, but you'd share other facilities with the rest of the family. And then there are lots of accommodation options around the university campuses where you can share a house with friends. The cost there should be quite a bit cheaper, but there are lots of different options available. So I think that's everything I have to say. I've put my email address here if anyone does have any questions they want to ask me, and they can get in touch there. Of course, Nita, I know you may have some questions for me yourself. I would just say, though, of course, that Look Education New Zealand is one of our partners in South Africa. So we do encourage students to apply for our partners. They're able to help with visa advice, with you know, the right documents for applying and so on. So I know, Nita, you'll be able to help students who might be interested in studying in New Zealand as our official partner over in South Africa.
Yes, absolutely. Gosh, thank you, Richard. I think that is, I'm just trying to get my screen sorted. Let's have a look. No, it's all good. But yes, we are very, very excited about working with the University of Waikato. It's got an excellent reputation, and the course offerings are immense. You know, it's really, these are really, as you said, these are just 2 of the options, and there are just so many more options for the students. And I know, you know, South Africa has, let's quickly see, there we go, there we are. Can you hear me okay?
I can, yes.
Okay, okay. So I know that there'll be many other courses that South African students want to pursue, but I just know, having been in this with the students and hearing about business opportunities and sport opportunities, these 2 are the biggest ones, but there definitely are so many more, and I'd love to get you online again for us to just, you know, we can go through a host of others as well. But I think you've really sketched a great picture about New Zealand and the beauty. I've been fortunate enough to be there as well. I was in Rotorua and I was in Tauranga. We actually went to the Adams Centre as well. It is phenomenal.
Did you?
So yeah, it's
fantastic. Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to be working with your institution, and there's definitely a need out there for our South African students, and just to showing them the unique opportunities in New Zealand. We've had a great reception already in the beginning of the year. COVID unfortunately did put a little bit of a block, so we weren't able to see all the schools, but we definitely are getting out there, and yeah, we just know that there's so much opportunity for them in New Zealand as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we really want to welcome more international students to New Zealand. Obviously, the COVID-19 situation means that health has to come first, and you know, New Zealand government has really shown that with their policies. But it does mean that New Zealand is a really safe study destination, and the amount of interest that we've seen in studying in New Zealand has really risen over the last few months, and we're just very hopeful that we're able to welcome new students to study in New Zealand again soon.
Definitely. I was saying to somebody this morning, I was actually talking to a friend, and we were saying it's like the horses being ready for a race. They're all behind the gates. They just
raring to go.
But obviously safety comes first, and you know, we need to protect our borders and our people and so on. So we totally understand. And yeah, we'll just keep at it, and obviously people like yourself who are passionate about the education, it's wonderful to connect with you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's been lovely to speak to you. And as I say, if there's anything I can do, if any students have any questions about studying in New Zealand, please
Yes.
put me in touch. You could see my email address back there as well.
Yep.
And I'm more than happy to help with anything you need or anything that students would like to.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for your
No.
time. I appreciate it. When borders open, we'll hopefully be able to travel a little bit more, and we'll be able to share
Fingers
these
crossed.
face to face. Yeah. But
Yes, absolutely.
in the meantime, keep well, and thanks once again. And we'll touch base
Okay.
again soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Great to speak to you.
Thanks, Richard. Cheers for now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.